Hey there, I'm here with another Soulara review, and this time I'm reviewing the Roje Maiden Soba noodles. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Now this meal for me sounds really appetizing. It's got ginger, sesame, sweet soy soba noodles with seasonal stir-fried vegetables and a sprinkle of chili and garlic. Sounds pretty good, right? So I've noticed in this dish there are a few more vegetables than some of the other dishes that Soulara have produced and that I've tried, which is great. And there's lots of aromatics in there that are going to boost the flavor, like the garlic, the chili, the ginger. There's even edible flowers, so sounds pretty special. This is actually a smaller portion size than some of the other meals that are on offer at 350 grams. It is actually a low calorie meal, being only 337 calories. So for those who are maybe watching their portions or their waistline, this might be a good option. It's also not that high in carbohydrates compared to some of their meals. So it's 33 grams of carbohydrates, and that's mainly coming from the soba noodles, and also the fact that besides the carrots, there's no other root vegetables or starchy vegetables in there. So that's going to help reduce the carbohydrate content. Being that there's no plant-based protein, it is low in protein, so it's 16.5 grams of protein, so it's not part of Soulara's high protein range. You just need to keep that in mind and make sure that you're including some other quality protein sources throughout the day so that you do get your recommended intake. And the fat content is also really low at 2.5 grams of fat. So if you are adopting a low fat diet, this might be a suitable option for you. Just keep in mind, this actually could benefit from some addition of dietary fats, just because dietary fats are going to help make sure that you're feeling full and satisfied after a meal, and it also will help maintain your energy at an appropriate level for longer. So it could benefit from that. One thing that I've noticed with the Soulara range is that a lot have soy products such as tofu and tempeh as their plant protein source, and that's all fine, but this one doesn't, which can actually bring a bit of relief after having several meals in their range of tempeh or tofu. It does contain soy sauce, so just be aware of that if you do have a soy allergen. As with several of the meals in the Soulara range, I've noticed a bit of a lack of detail in the labeling, in this case with the soba noodles. So that's the main ingredient in this dish. Now, soba noodles are traditionally made with buckwheat flour, which is gluten-free, but in this case, they actually haven't labeled what the soba noodles are made from. And we know that a lot of the commercial soba noodles on the market are actually made from buckwheat plus a combination of other flours in there. I suspect that's the case because they have added that it contains wheat, in brackets gluten, on the back of the label. So I'm not quite sure where that could be coming from other than the soba noodles itself, because they've recognized that they have gluten-free soy sauce in there. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a little bit frustrating knowing that a lot of people have intolerances to certain foods, and not necessarily the big ones like dairy or gluten or eggs. So it would be great if they paid a little bit more attention to the actual detail of the labels. But there's not really much else to say in terms of the nutrition of this dish. It's a pretty clean, whole food kind of meal. So we'll see what it tastes like. Okay, so I've just heated up the soba noodles in the microwave for 2 minutes with the film on. There is some really nice textural variation in here. The noodles in some places are a little bit clumpy, but on the whole, not too bad. And there's some big pieces of corn and also pale, which is nice just for texture. And there's a bit of colour in there, so it smells pretty good. It looks not too bad for a convenience meal. Let's see how it tastes. So this is one of the few Soulara meals that I actually feel like I can really taste a bit of punch in the flavours, and especially the chili. It's a really nice kick of chili, and I can still feel it in my mouth as I'm moving through the meal. So it is a welcome change from some of the other main meals that I've tried. The textures are really nice, and the noodles, while they're a little bit clumpy in some areas, they're not mushy. They've still got their nice noodle consistency. And I love that they've got some whole pieces of vegetables like the corn. It's actually a really tasty dish. I'm not sure how long this is going to keep me full for, being that there's not really not much protein, and there's certainly not much fat in there. So they're the foods that are going to keep you feeling full for longer. But I don't miss any meat at all. I don't miss not having any tofu or tempeh in here. It is a really delicious meal. So I'm going to tuck in and enjoy the rest of it. If you are thinking about ordering from Soulara, make sure you check out my other reviews. I also have a review that talks about Soulara in general in terms of their delivery, their food range, and also their nutrient profile. So check that out.